Guys, my name is Naveed and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we'll discuss some basic strings operations that we can perform in Python. Like discuss how we can perform string indexing, string slicing, what are the string properties, how we can print strings, what are the you can say the different options we can use using print function. So first of all, how we can create the string. Strings, make it heading, shift enter. Okay. Actually, first we need to understand what is string. Actually, string used in Python to record, just like I say, we can store text information such as a name of a person, city, just like you can say the text information to use to store in string. String in Python and actually you can say a sequence, which basically means a Python keep track of every element in the string as a sequence. For example, Python understand the string hello to a sequence of letter in a specific header. This means we will be able to use the indexing to grab particular letter like the first letter, last letter. So how we can define string in Python? So to create a string in Python, we need to either a single quote or double quote. Example, Naveed Ahmed, shift enter, and we can also use the double quote. Naveed Ahmed, shift enter. Great. For example, you want to compute the length of string. For example, what is the length of this string? So how we can compute the length of string? First thing, we have the length function in Python. Length of string, shift enter. Okay, we can use the function len length to check the length of string. For example, I want to check the length of Naveed Ahmed, shift enter, and here you can see actually Python built-in length function count all the factors in the string, including spaces and punctuations. Next thing, how we can perform indexing, like how we can get the each character in the string. So let's start indexing. As we know, strings are a sequence, which means Python can use indexes to call part of sequence. Let's learn how it's works. In Python, we use brackets, square bracket. You can say the after an object to call its index. So we should also note that indexing start with 0 in Python. For example, let's define a variable and store string. Try to shift enter, print this variable. Okay, so we can use this colon sign to perform the slicing, which grabs everything up to a designated point. For example, I want to grab everything past the first term all the way on the left of my string. So, for example, my variable one, shift enter, and here you can see after the first we have all these things. Next, for example, I want to grab everything up to the third index. So my variable everything to the third index, shift enter, sub. So 0, this is the first index, 1, 2, so up to 3. Like no, this will not include the third index. So sub 0, 1, 2. Here we have the, you can say the first 3 characters in our string. For example, in this slicing, you can see like we are telling Python to grab everything from 0 up to 3. It doesn't include third index. And for example, you want to print everything, just like you can say you can want to include everything, simply write my variable and just one colon sign, shift enter. Here you can see. And One interesting thing, we can also use the negative indexing to go the backward. For example, index. For example, I want to get the last letter. So one index behind zero, so it loops back around. My variable and -1. Shift enter. Here you can see this is the character. That's the last character. So I have -1. Right, -2. Shift enter. Here you can see E -3. Shift enter. Here you can see N. So we can also use the negative indexes in string. It is important to note that string have an important property known as immutability. This means that once a string is created, the element within it cannot be changed or replaced. For example, my variable, I have this string subscribe to the channel. So for example, if I want to change the first letter to the N, my variable first letter to N, shift enter, and here you get the error. So we cannot change the character in a string. So therefore it is immutable. Next thing, how we can concatenate the string. Concatenate. Okay. We can use the plus sign to concatenate two strings. For example, my variable, what is this? Subscribe to the channel. I want to concatenate with another string. Hit bell icon. Shift enter. You can subscribe to channel. Hit bell icon. Okay. Space and okay. Shift enter. So here you can see like how we concatenate a string. Next, we discuss some built-in function that Python strings have. Built-in functions. Make it heading, shift enter. Okay. For example, I want to convert this string to the uppercase. So simply write the variable name, my variable, and we have the function upper. So it will, you can say uppercase a string. Shift enter, and here you can see subscribe to channel, all the characters in uppercase. Same thing, we have also the function lower. So all the character in lowercase. My variable dot lower, shift enter. Great. Okay. Next thing, for example, if I want to split my string, like I want this separate string and separate string. So how we can split the string? Simply my variable dot split. So it will split a string by a blank space. So this is the by default. Shift enter, and you can see subscribe to channel. So we can get the list of strings. Then, for example, if we want to split by a specific element, so how we can do? For example, that I want to split by a specific element that doesn't include the element that was split on. So my variable dot split, and what is the character? Yes, 2 T, shift enter. Okay, sorry, split, shift enter, and here you can see we have the split. So next thing, how we can print our string, how we there are different formats we can print our string. So let me write print format, shift enter. Okay, actually we have you can say the different format to print a string. First, but you can say the oldest method involves the placeholder, this one. Then an improved technique use the dot format function. And the newest method introduced with Python 3.6 use the formatted string literal called fstring. So we'll discuss everything. This one, dot format and fstring. For example, if I want to, actually this is the placeholder. So if I want to format my string with a placeholder, so we can use %s to inject string into our print statement. So the modulus operator is referred to as a string formatting operator. Print, please subscribe to channel of, and here I use %s, then use this modulus operator, and now write what you want to replace here, but in at the place of %s. So of Mr. Naveed Ahmed channel, shift enter. Here you can see, please subscribe to channel of, and this %s replaced by this string. Next is how we can print the string using dot format function. So a better way to format the object into our string for print statement is dot format. Then the syntax is, for example, we use the curly braces. Let me show you the example. Print welcome to channel of, and here you use curly braces, and after that use dot, then format function, and right here, for example, channel of Naveed. So Naveed will come at the place of curly braces. Shift enter. If we welcome to channel of Naveed, so in the dot format function we use this curly braces, and the value that we pass, so it will replace by this curly braces function. Next is fstring. Actually, fstring introduced in Python 3.6, and you have it's a several benefits about the oldest dot format. So it's the string method described. For one, we can bring the outside variable immediately to the string rather than pass them as an argument through dot format variable. So we can directly write. Let me show you. For example, channel is equal to Naveed Ahmed. Enter, and then print. Here we need to write one character f, then simply write subscribe to, then here we use curly braces, but now we will not write like dot format and Naveed. No, simply write what, for example, whatever the value that you want to print. For example, I want to print this variable value, so subscribe to Control C this variable value and shift enter. Here you can see subscribe to, we directly pass the variable value, and that variable value replace subscribe to Mr. Naveed Ahmed. Next thing we also have, you can say the character R to get the, for example, if we want to get the string representation, like I want to, you can say just like you, I want to get the double quotes around this word. How we can do? Simply Control C, Control V. So after the variable name, we need to write exclamation mark and R. Shift enter. And here you can see we get the string representation. So these, I just give you the some basic examples. You can say some of the basic functions that we must know to start the programming in Python. As we move forward, we'll discuss some more advanced functions that we can perform with strings in Python. So that's it for today. If you like my video, click on subscribe button, hit the bell icon. Let's meet another.